Hey, Reddit. I'm Jake, 26M, and I just watched my family's perfect Christmas dinner get completely destroyed in under 5 minutes. Every year, we do the same thing. Big fancy meal at my parents' house, everyone dressed up, emotional toasts, way too much food and wine. It's usually a great time. I mean, sure, there's the occasional family drama, it's a holiday after all. But nothing like what happened tonight. And it's all because of my sister-in-law, Rachel, 34F. Who decided Christmas dinner was the perfect time to drop an atomic bomb on our family. It started out fine. My mom was running around making sure everything was just right. My dad was already 2 whiskeys in, lecturing my brother Matt, 36M, on how to carve a turkey like he doesn't do it every single year. My grandma was complaining about how Christmas isn't the same anymore, and my little cousins were sneaking cookies behind my mom's back. And then there was Rachel. Rachel is Matt's wife, and she's always been a lot. The type of person who thrives on drama. She always has some kind of personal crisis, always finds a way to turn attention back to herself, and always creates tension out of nothing. But this was next level. We were all sitting at the table, eating, laughing, pretending to be a happy, functional family. My mom was in the middle of this long, heartfelt speech about love and trust, when Rachel suddenly set down her wine glass, cleared her throat, and said, "Actually, there's something I need to say." Instant vibe shift. You could feel the tension drop into the room like a lead weight. Matt shot her a look. Rachel, maybe now isn't the time. She ignored him. Instead, she turned to my other brother, Josh, 38M. He was mid-bite, happily stuffing his face with mashed potatoes. And then she dropped the bomb. "Josh, I need to tell you something. Your son isn't yours. I swear to you." Time stopped. My mom gasped. My dad choked on his drink. And Josh, he just froze. Fork halfway to his mouth. Eyes locked on Rachel like she had just stabbed him across the table. Rachel had just nuked Christmas dinner. And the worst part? She looked like she was enjoying it. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the soft clink of Josh's fork slipping from his hand and hitting his plate. Rachel just sat there, completely unbothered, swirling her wine like she hadn't just dropped the most insane bomb in our family's history. Josh finally snapped out of it. "What?" His voice was quiet, but not in a calm way. More like the kind of quiet that comes right before someone flips the entire table over. Rachel sighed, like she was annoyed he didn't just nod and say, "Ah, okay, good to know." "You heard me," she said, taking a slow sip of wine. My mom's hands flew to her mouth. "Rachel, what are you saying?" Rachel set down her glass and leaned forward. "I'm saying," she said, locking eyes with Josh, "that kid isn't yours. Liz cheated on you." Liz, Josh's wife. The mother of his 8-year-old son. The woman who was currently not here because she was spending Christmas with her sick mom. Josh turned red. "You're lying." Rachel tilted her head. "Am I?" Josh shoved back his chair so fast it scraped against the floor. "Yes, you are." His whole body was shaking. "What the hell is wrong with you?" My dad, who had been silent up until this point, finally found his voice. "Rachel, this is completely inappropriate." Rachel laughed. "I swear to you," she actually laughed. "Right, because I'm the problem here," she said. "Not the fact that Josh has been raising some other guy's kid for the last 8 years. And that's when everything exploded." Josh lunged across the table, pointing a shaking finger at her. "You are so full of us." My mom burst into tears. My grandma started screaming at my dad to do something. Matt, Rachel's own husband, grabbed her arm and hissed, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Rachel just shrugged, like she hadn't just set our entire family on fire. Josh stormed toward her, and for a second, I genuinely thought he might throw his drink at her. But at the last second, he slammed his glass down on the table instead, sending cranberry sauce flying everywhere. Then he turned and stormed out. Complete chaos. My dad was yelling. My mom was crying. My grandma was asking Jesus to fix this family. And Rachel just took another sip of wine. Like she was enjoying every single second of it. So my brother just stormed out of Christmas dinner, my mom is sobbing into the mashed potatoes, and my sister-in-law, the human grenade who caused this whole disaster, is sitting there smirking. And I have to say it, if you enjoy ruining someone's life this much, you might actually be a bad person. But hey, maybe that's just me. Anyway, back to the disaster. Josh was gone. My dad ran after him, probably to stop him from punching a hole through the Christmas decorations. Meanwhile, Matt, Rachel's actual husband, was losing it. "What the hell is wrong with you?" he hissed, grabbing Rachel's arm. Rachel yanked away like he was the crazy one. "Oh, I'm sorry. Am I the only one who cares about the truth around here?" "Truth?" My mom finally snapped out of her crying. "Rachel, you just accused Liz of cheating at Christmas dinner." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "Would you rather I waited until dessert? I swear to you, if throwing a wine glass wasn't frowned upon, I think my mom would have done it." My grandma clutched her pearls. Literally, I don't think she's taken them off since the 60s. "Rachel, dear, I think you might be mistaken. Liz loves Josh. She'd never." Rachel laughed. Not like a nervous, awkward chuckle. A full, amused laugh, like we were all so painfully naive. "Oh, come on," she scoffed, leaning back in her chair. "Liz. Innocent little Liz? You guys don't know her like I do." Matt ran a hand through his hair, looking seconds away from completely losing it. "Rachel, you can't just throw something like this out there without proof." Rachel's smirk didn't even flinch. "Oh, I have proof." The room went dead silent. Matt clenched his jaw. "What proof?" Rachel took another sip of wine. Paused. Then, in the most obnoxiously dramatic way possible, she finally said, "Wouldn't you like to know?" And that was the moment I officially stopped trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Because if you actually cared about your family, if you actually cared about the truth, you wouldn't be acting like you're on a reality show waiting for a dramatic reveal. But Rachel, she was eating this up. "Rachel," my mom said, her voice shaking, "if you really have proof, then say it. Because this right here, is disgusting." Rachel's eyes flickered to my mom, and for a brief second, I thought she might actually feel a sliver of shame. I was wrong. Instead, she just sighed heavily like we were all so dumb for not immediately believing her. "Fine," she said, rolling her eyes. "You want proof. I'll give you proof." Then, she grabbed her phone. And just like that, it wasn't a game anymore. The entire table held their breath as Rachel scrolled. Matt, still furious, crossed his arms. "Rachel, if you don't have something real, something actually concrete, you're done. Do you understand me?" Rachel didn't even look up. "Relax. I've got plenty." She tapped her screen a few more times, then turned her phone around. And what she showed us, I don't even know how to describe it. Because what she showed us wasn't some text message confession. It wasn't a video. It wasn't even Liz. It was a picture of a kid. Josh's kid. "Tell me he doesn't look exactly like Liz's ex-boyfriend," Rachel said, raising an eyebrow. I swear, the room collectively gasped. Because here's the thing, the kid really did look like Liz's ex, same dark hair, same dimple in the chin, same damn eyes. Matt lost it. "Rachel. That's not proof, that's literally just genetics." Rachel shrugged. "Oh, so it's just a coincidence then? That Liz's ex has a clone running around your brother's house." My mom grabbed the phone out of Rachel's hand. "Rachel, you don't just, this is a child. Do you hear yourself?" Rachel snatched it back. "Oh, please. I'm just saying what everyone's too scared to say. Josh wasn't here to defend his son anymore. But even if he was, I'm not sure he could. Because the truth is, even I couldn't unsee the resemblance. And I have to ask, because at this point, I need opinions. If a kid looks identical to his mom's ex, is it insane to ask questions? Or did Rachel actually have a point? I swear, I've never seen my family go from raging fury to dead silence so fast." Rachel held up her phone, smirking like she'd just won a courtroom trial, while the rest of us sat there, staring at the picture like it was a grenade with the pin already pulled. And I won't lie to you, Reddit. When I looked at Josh's kid and then at Liz's ex-boyfriend, I saw it. The same dimpled chin. The same dark brown hair. The same slightly crooked smile. And apparently, I wasn't the only one seeing it. Because my mom, who had been fighting for Rachel to shut up 5 minutes ago, was now gripping her napkin so tight it was shaking. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Oh my God." Rachel leaned back in her chair like she had just dropped the mic. "I mean," she said, swirling her wine. "Now that you're actually looking at the kid, tell me I'm wrong." My dad, who had been silent this whole time, finally cleared his throat. "Rachel, this is beyond inappropriate." She didn't even blink. "What's inappropriate is pretending like we don't all see what's right in front of us." Matt pinched the bridge of his nose like he was seconds away from losing it. "Rachel, You're basing an entire accusation on a damn picture. A picture of a kid that looks nothing like his supposed father, Rachel snapped back. But hey, if you all want to keep pretending, be my guest. I'm just saying, maybe it's time Josh got a paternity test. Boom. Another grenade thrown onto the table. My mom made a wounded animal noise. My grandma, who had been sitting in stunned silence, suddenly crossed herself like we were at a freaking funeral. Matt, looking done with life, slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Rachel, you've already ruined Christmas. No, Liz ruined Christmas, Rachel shot back. I'm just the one willing to say it. The tension was insane. Nobody knew what to say. Even I, who normally can't keep my mouth shut, was stuck replaying the kid's face in my head, wondering if Rachel had a point. And yeah, I already know the comments are gonna say, you don't just assume paternity based on looks, but let me ask you this. If your nephew looked exactly like your brother's wife's ex, would you not at least be a little suspicious? Because at this point, I didn't know what to believe anymore. And then, Josh came back. The front door slammed. Footsteps pounded down the hall. And before anyone could say a word, Josh stormed back into the dining room, his face red, his fists clenched. He looked right at Rachel and said, "Say it again. I dare you." And that's when things got really bad. Josh stormed back into the dining room like a man on a mission. His face was red, his fists were clenched, and when he locked eyes with Rachel, I swear the temperature in the room dropped. Rachel, for the first time all night, hesitated. But only for a second. Then, like the drama-fueled lunatic she is, she leaned back in her chair and smirked. "Say what again, Josh? That your kid isn't yours? That Liz cheated on you? That you've been raising some other guy's kid for 8 years? Boom. Another nuclear bomb. Josh lunged. Not like, punch her in the face lunged, but more like he was about to grab her phone and throw it into another dimension. My dad jumped up and grabbed Josh's arm before he could reach her. "Josh, don't." Josh was shaking. "Rachel, shut your damn mouth." Rachel rolled her eyes. "I'm just saying." "No. You're not just saying. You're accusing my wife of cheating and my son of not being mine. At Christmas dinner." Rachel sighed dramatically. "Oh, I'm sorry. Should I have waited until after dessert?" That's when my mom lost it. She slammed her hand on the table. "Enough." The whole room went dead silent. My mom, who has spent her entire life trying to keep the family peaceful and perfect, was now on the verge of a mental breakdown. Her eyes were red. Her hands were shaking. And when she spoke, her voice was deadly. "Rachel," she said, "if you have real proof, say it. Right now. Or shut your mouth forever." Rachel didn't even blink. "I already showed you the proof." She lifted her phone. "The resemblance is undeniable." Josh laughed. But not a real laugh. A cold, bitter, "oh I'm gonna burn this house down" laugh. "That's your proof," he spat. "AF *** king picture?" Rachel shrugged. "Hey, I'd be worried too if I were you." Josh's fists clenched so tight his knuckles turned white. "You don't know a damn thing, Rachel." "Oh, I know plenty." And that's when Josh did it. He grabbed a full plate of mashed potatoes and chucked it at the wall. The plate shattered. Potatoes went everywhere. My grandma literally screamed. Josh turned back to Rachel, breathing heavy. "You are the most miserable, hateful person I have ever met." Rachel just smiled. "And yet, here you are, questioning everything I just said." The worst part. She wasn't wrong. Because as much as Josh was raging, I could see it in his eyes. She had planted doubt. And that's what she wanted all along. There was mashed potato shrapnel on the wall. My grandma was clutching her chest like she might actually pass away. My mom looked like she wanted to throw up. And Rachel was just smiling. Josh was fuming. His whole body was tense, shaking, like he was one word away from completely losing it. And honestly, I don't blame him. Rachel had just accused him of raising another man's kid. At Christmas dinner. With nothing but a picture as proof. But here's the worst part. The part that made my stomach turn. Josh wasn't 100% sure she was wrong. I could see it in his face. The tiniest, most painful sliver of doubt. And that's exactly what Rachel wanted. Rachel, Matt, her own husband, snapped. "You need to shut the hell up." Rachel sighed. "Why?" "Because I said what no one else wanted to say." Josh clenched his jaw. "Because you don't know what the ***k you're talking about." Rachel tilted her head. "Then take a paternity test." Silence. The entire room froze. Josh's face twisted in anger. I shouldn't have to take a test. My wife isn't a cheater. Rachel raised an eyebrow. So prove it. Boom. Another bomb dropped. And here's the thing. Here's what's going to get me dragged in the comments. If someone accuses you of not being a kid's father, and you know they're full of *T, why not take the test just to shut them up? Because Josh? He didn't answer right away. He hesitated. And in that tiny moment of hesitation, Rachel won. She could see it. We all could. That's what I thought, she said, smirking. Josh slammed his fist on the table. You don't know anything, Rachel. Rachel shrugged. Maybe not. But you're definitely wondering now, aren't you? And that was it. Josh turned, grabbed his coat off the chair, and stormed toward the door. My mom shot up from her seat. Josh, honey, please don't. Slam. Gone. My dad ran after him. My mom started crying again. Matt looked at his wife like he just realized he married the actual devil. And me. I just sat there, watching the Christmas tree lights blink like nothing was happening. Like this wasn't the night that destroyed our family. Josh was gone. My dad chased after him, but I already knew it wouldn't help. Josh wasn't the type to cool off fast. When he was mad, he stayed mad. And honestly, I don't blame him. Rachel had just taken one of the most important things in his life, his son, and turned it into a question. A nasty, cruel, vindictive question that couldn't be unasked. And now, even if Liz had never cheated, even if the kid was 100% his, that tiny sliver of doubt was going to live in his head forever. All because Rachel wanted to make a scene. My mom sat down heavily, covering her face with her hands. Why would you do this, Rachel? She whispered. Why would you ruin Christmas like this? Rachel, completely unbothered, took another sip of wine. I didn't ruin Christmas. Liz did, when she decided to lie to Josh. Matt, who had been quiet for the last minute, suddenly stood up so fast his chair nearly fell backward. That's it. His voice was cold. We're leaving. Rachel blinked at him. Excuse me. You heard me. He grabbed his coat. You've done enough damage for one night. Let's go. Rachel laughed. Oh, come on, Matt. Don't be dramatic. Matt turned to my mom, his face tight with anger. I am so sorry for this. My mom just nodded weakly, looking like she had aged 10 years in the last hour. Rachel, meanwhile, was still sitting there, completely relaxed. Matt, sit down. You're embarrassing yourself. No, Rachel. Matt's voice was sharp now. You embarrassed me. You embarrassed this whole family. And I am done. Rachel's smirk finally faded. You're overreacting. Matt let out a hollow laugh. Really? I'm overreacting? You just accused my brother's wife of cheating and my nephew of not being his kid at Christmas dinner. And you think I'm the problem? Rachel crossed her arms. I just told the truth. You don't even know if it's the truth. Matt snapped. You have no proof, Rachel. None. But you didn't care about that, did you? You just wanted to hurt people. For the first time all night, Rachel looked unsure. Not guilty. Not regretful. Just like she didn't expect Matt to turn on her. She opened her mouth to argue, but Matt was done. Get in the car, Rachel. Rachel hesitated. Looked around. Probably realized no one was on her side. Finally, she let out a frustrated sigh, stood up, and grabbed her purse. Fine. Whatever. As she walked out, she glanced back at my mom and shrugged. You'll see. I was right about Liz. Then she was gone. Matt followed her out, and just like that, half the table was empty. The house felt dead. Like Christmas had officially been canceled. I looked at my mom, who was just sitting there, staring blankly at the table. Mom, I said softly. Are you okay? She let out a shaky breath. No, Jake. I'm not. The house was quiet. Unnaturally quiet. Rachel was gone. Josh was gone. My dad was still outside, probably trying to calm Josh down, and Matt had left, dragging his disaster of a wife with him. The table that had been full of laughter an hour ago now just felt empty. I turned to my mom. She was staring at her plate, barely blinking. Her hand was still gripping her napkin so tightly that it was crumpled beyond saving. Mom, I asked carefully. She let out a slow, shaky breath, then looked up at me. This is the worst Christmas we've ever had. I didn't argue. She wasn't wrong. She pressed her fingers to her temples. What did I do wrong, Jake? That caught me off guard. What? My whole life, I've tried to keep this family together. Her voice was tight, like she was barely holding herself together. I raised you boys to love each other, to take care of each other. And look at us now. I didn't know what to say to that. Because, honestly, she had a point. Josh had stormed out on Christmas Eve. Matt's marriage was imploding in real time. And our family traditions were probably dead forever. Mom wiped at her eyes quickly, like she didn't want me to see. I just don't understand how we got here. I hesitated. Mom, this isn't your fault. Asterisk. She let out a bitter laugh. Then whose is it? I didn't answer right away. Because I knew the obvious response was Rachel. Rachel was the one who started this. Rachel was the one who threw a bomb into the middle of dinner and watched it explode. But at the same time, there was something else nagging at me. Rachel didn't just make this up out of nowhere. She might be a chaos-loving lunatic, but she's also calculating. She knew what she was doing. She wouldn't have done this unless she believed, or at least suspected, she was right. And that made me wonder, what if she was right? I mean, yeah, the timing was pure evil. But if Liz really did cheat, wouldn't Josh deserve to know? Wouldn't my mom want to know the truth, too? I shifted uncomfortably in my chair. What if Josh takes a test? My mom looked at me sharply. Jake. No. But. No, she said firmly. We don't do that. We don't tear this family apart even more. I held my tongue. Because I wanted to believe her. I really did. But deep down, I had a horrible feeling. A feeling that, even if Rachel was gone, this wasn't over. My mom wanted to believe this was over. That now that Rachel was gone, we could all just take a deep breath, sweep the mashed potatoes off the wall, and pretend Christmas wasn't completely ruined. But I knew better. Because Rachel didn't just cause a scene, she planted a seed. And I could already tell that seed was growing. Josh hadn't come back. My dad had tried to talk him down, but after a while, he gave up and came inside, shaking his head. He's too pissed to talk right now, was all he said before pouring himself another drink. And honestly, I didn't blame Josh for leaving. If someone told me my kid might not actually be mine, I don't think I'd be able to sit calmly at a table full of people either. I turned back to my mom, who was still sitting at the table, staring at the half-eaten food like it personally offended her. I need to fix this, she muttered, mostly to herself. I hesitated. Mom, maybe we just let this play out. Her head snapped toward me. Let this play out. I just mean, maybe Josh needs to decide what to do. Maybe it's not our place to. Not our place, she repeated, eyes wide. Jake, this is our family. If Rachel's lying, we need to clear Liz's name. And if she's telling the truth. She trailed off, shaking her head. I can't even think about that. But that's the problem. Josh was already thinking about it. We all were. Because even if Rachel was the worst person alive, even if she handled it horribly, even if she ruined Christmas for literally no reason, what if she was right? I swallowed hard. Do you think Josh will take the test? Mom flinched like I'd slapped her. Absolutely not. But what if he does? She didn't answer. Because we both knew the truth. If Josh took that test, our family was never going to be the same again. I woke up the next morning to a text from Josh. Josh, I ordered the test. And just like that, I knew. Rachel won. It didn't matter that she was a miserable, drama-addicted person. It didn't matter that she destroyed Christmas dinner with a smug little smirk. It didn't even matter that she had no real proof. She planted the doubt. And now, it was too big to ignore. I sat there, staring at my phone, not even sure what to say. My heart felt heavy. Because no matter what happens next, no matter what that test says, our family is never going back to how it was. If it comes back and proves Rachel was lying, sure, we can call her out, rage at her, maybe even cut her off completely. But the damage, it's already done. Josh will always remember that moment of doubt, that sickening fear, that tiny voice in his head that made him question his entire life. And if Rachel was right, then I don't even want to think about it. Either way, we lost. And all because one person wanted to watch the world burn. So tell me, Reddit, if you were in Josh's shoes, would you take the test? Or would you rather live in the lie? That's it for today's story. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more wild Reddit stories. Until next time, stay curious and keep the stories coming.